Brandon Montour was named one of the NHL's Stars of the Week. And should he get one more, he would tie the franchise lead for 2 overall with Seattle Kraken legend Martin Jones. Let's talk about that and get you ready for today's game day on Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we bring you your favorite team, the Seattle Kraken, every single day. Erica Ayala here, your host of Locked On Kraken, also a NHL and women's basketball contributor at CBS Sports, and the founder of Black Rosie Media, where we empower Black women and melanated creators in sports media. Excited to be here with you for another episode. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by, I gotta say, one of my favorites. It's Game Time. Now, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Brandon Montour gets a Star of the Week, and as I teased, he becomes one of 3 Seattle Kraken members or players while with the Seattle Kraken to earn one of the 3 Stars of the Week handed down by the National Hockey League. The most recent, Jordan Eberle, now captain, of course, April 9th, 2023. Yeah, 2023. So it's been a minute. He was the 2nd star. And then Martin Jones, not once, but twice. Martin Jones on January 15th, 2023. He was the 1st star. And Martin Jones again on November 20th, 2022, the 3rd star. Brandon Montour was named the 3rd star. Jesper Bratt of the New Jersey Devils and Darcy Kemper round out the top 3 stars. So Kemper, Bratt, Montour. And listen, I love that I got to talk about Martin Jones. If you're an everydayer and an OGer, you know I have not forgiven the Seattle Kraken Media Corps, who I absolutely adore. But there's just one little blemish, one demerit, and it is that nobody asked to talk to Martin Jones at exit interviews in his most recent season, his only season with us. He was the highlight, the star of that season without fail, without question. And so yeah, I'm still a little hurt about that. Now, he wasn't meant to be our biggest star, but that just goes to speak to the Seattle Kraken organization has had to be really, really scrappy at times. But Brandon Montour is the kind of player that was brought to the Seattle Kraken because of what he can do. Because of, as I said to Dan Bylsma, during the preseason, because he's got moxie, because he's got the jam, the juice. And that's exactly what we heard from Dan Bylsma earlier today. Here's what he had to say about Brandon Montour.
I'll just want to start with this. Brandon Montour named the NHL's 3rd star of the week. Obviously, we have seen how productive he's been, what makes him such a good player, but what has he brought in terms of leadership to the group and personality, kind of especially with the young guys?
Talked about it right from the beginning of the year. Really, the first time he stepped foot in our room, just has a lot of moxie, has a lot of swagger. That's how he plays, and that's how we want to be. And so he's a big front runner in just. Again, how we want to play with speed, play with some moxie, play with some jam. That's all Brandon Montour.
I love that. And you definitely see that from Monty, as he is known. And that is that sandpaper, that P&V that I'm always talking about. And Brandon Montour definitely has it. Entering tonight's game, because it's a game day, we're going to see Ryan Donato. Oh, my guy, Ryan Donato. I'm going to talk about him a little later on the episode. I know. Brandon Montour leads the Seattle Kraken in the last 5 games with 7 points, 4 goals. Eberle leads with 3 assists. And Brandon Montour has just been a fantastic player. You heard there from Dan Bylsma for the Seattle Kraken. I just mentioned it, but his 6 points, 3 goals, and 3 assists. He's among 3 players, actually, who are heading into tonight's game on multi-game point streaks. That includes Jordan Eberle, who I mentioned. He's got 7 points, 1 goal, and 6 assists, across the last 4 games played. And then Chandler Stevenson, who I've been a little tough on at times, I think rightfully so. But Chandler Stevenson he's got 1 goal, 5 assists in the last 5 games. So it's actually Chandler Stevenson's streak that is the longest of those with a multi-point streak heading into the season. Now, Stevenson also leads the Kraken now with 47 points. 36 of those are assists. Brandon Montour leads Kraken. Brandon Montour, leads Kraken blue liners or defensemen with 16 goals, 22 assists for 38 points. And, he's been great for the Seattle Kraken. He has, I think, also been good in that he, in some ways, elevates Vince Dunn's game. Vince Dunn has talked about this. He alluded to it again after morning skate today, that he was talking about, because of the situation with the Seattle Kraken, the trades, that yes, and Dan Bylsma also said this, yes, this team is focused on playing their best hockey. Yes, this team is focused on playing for each other. I talked about the hit Tanev laid on Shane Wright, and that I like Ty Cartier's response. That goes into playing for each other. We're seeing a little bit more of that juice, that jam, as we might hear Dan Bylsma say. But what we also heard from Vince Dunn is that guys are also playing for themselves, because this is a team that we didn't see this. Remember, yesterday's episode, I said, real or not real. This is a team that can go toe-to-toe with teams like Winnipeg. Real or not real? I mean, it's real because it's happened, like I said yesterday. But what makes it so that the team can play well against Winnipeg, but not bottle that up and keep that same energy, as the kids say, every single game? And that's how I interpreted what Vince Dunn said today when he talked about, yeah, guys are playing for themselves. I actually wasn't going to originally play the clip, but I want you to hear from Vince Dunn and what he had to say about that, because I did think it's really good insight. And there are guys that want to utilize what we're seeing now from the Seattle Kraken as an opportunity. And so we are going to hear from Vince Dunn. Again, wasn't originally going to play that video, but I'll have it for you in the next segment, because we're going back to an OG, a throwback HC opportunity. Some of you may remember Brett, our former host of the Locked On Edmonton Oilers, and he and I had a great conversation about how the Seattle Kraken, we actually said FC, but I changed it. FC just stands for football club, but I changed it to SC, Hockey Club Opportunity. And the Seattle Kraken, I don't think they wanted to be in this spot, but they are in a spot where they are HC Opportunity. I'll break down what that means. And again, we'll hear from Vince Dunn coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our friends at Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need an extra hand for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. I do own a freelance business, Black Rosie Media. And yes, sometimes whether again it's for a short project or something a little bit longer down the road, just getting someone to concentrate and focus on that project so that I can do other things, huge game changer, definitely worth the money. So then I can make more money and have more opportunities for my business. So visit upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's upwork.com, upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. As I mentioned at the top of the show, today's episode also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. There's nothing like watching basketball live. You might see I'm not in headquarters right now. That's because I was watching Unrivaled live. And oh man, we had an upset in the semifinals and then a back and forth championship game. Congratulations to Rose BC, which stands for Basketball Club. It fits with today's episode. I love that. And so the energy of the crowd, the sound of the sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside. We had Dwayne Wade, Gabrielle Union, so many amazing people. Robin Roberts was there. So that's where Game Time comes in. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. HC Opportunity. That's our Seattle Kraken right now. I will say, the Seattle Kraken have not officially been eliminated, and they have earned 7 of a possible 10 points over their last 5 games. So we do like that. 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4. We talked about that. There's just a different mode that this team is going into. And again, yes, this team is playing for themselves, but also they're playing for each other. And I think it's that balance, understanding the assignment, wanting to put their best foot forward here while they have the chance. That's fueling this team. Why they couldn't get to the headspace to be able to do this earlier. I mean, I speculated, heavy emphasis on speculated. I speculated about that yesterday, given the Brandon Tanev hit. Thank you for those who did comment on YouTube. As of the last time I checked, everyone said fair hit. I agree with you. I think anyone feeling some kind of way about the hit is probably a Seattle Kraken fan, or I guess a Shane Wright fan. It's not great, but again, Tanev isn't ours, but Vince Dunn is. And he had some things to say about this team and how they're playing and what is motivating the team that I found pretty illuminating as we talk about HC Opportunity.
All right, well, we just wanted to start by talking a little bit about Yanni Newman and how he's kind of been fitting in with the team lately. What have you seen from him that's allowed him to just step in and be so productive?
Yeah, he plays to his strengths and really relies on them. And I think being such a big body, he's hard to move out there. So I think he gets his confidence going a little bit and holds on to pucks. It's hard to knock it off him. And obviously everyone knows his threat of a shot. And he's done a great job on the power play contributing there. And even 5-on-5, just getting to open space and trying to create room for himself there to get pucks through. So he's been a great addition. Seems to gel really good, and I think it helps having a couple Finns there with him. So, he's been great and brings a lot of positive energy to the forward group.
Similarly, Mikey Eyssimont, just here for a couple weeks now, 2 goals already. How's he kind of helped fit in and his role with the fourth line there?
Yeah, I think just his energy and his commitment to being very physical and forechecking really hard, I think creates a lot of offense through that, and I think his defensive game is very very solid. I think it's not very noticeable sometimes when you're a winger how well you play defensively. So I just think when he doesn't have the puck, he finds himself always moving his legs, and whether he's on offense, he drives the puck low and really good protecting the puck along the walls, and his wall play has been really great. And I think you see that in the last game where he creates the goal for himself is just being solid on the wall and protecting the puck. And all around, I think he's fit in really good with the group. I think the position he's been in, what's up, Patty? The position he's been in, the role he's playing, he's accepted it really well, and I think he's been a great addition to the team.
Vince, things have been going pretty well for you guys lately. What can you accomplish over this last stretch of games?
I think just we all have something to play for. Might not be the playoffs, but I think everyone has a lot of pride in the dressing room, and we have a pretty solid group, and guys get along really well. So I think we all go out and play for each other here, and that's something we need to do to win games, where we win games by everyone contributing, and you've seen that over the last little bit. So I think guys are feeling pretty good the last little while. I think there's still a lot to build off of, but I think overall for our confidence, it's feeling a little better as of lately.
Besides Yanni,
I just think that overall vibe it's really good for us right now to stay competitive and to stay hungry all throughout. Fighting for themselves a little bit, and that brings a lot of good competition within the lineup. So I just think that overall vibe it's really good for us right now to stay competitive and to stay hungry all throughout the end of the season.
I mean, there you have it. You heard Vince Dunn be asked and respond regarding Newman, Isiman. We heard Dan Bylsma talk about Capo Caco. It was right around the time we played Chicago, the last time we played them in Chicago, that Capo Caco joined the team, the trade that sent Will Borgen to the Rangers, Capo Caco to Seattle. In that game, Chicago defeated Seattle 3-1. Earlier this year, the Seattle Kraken defeated Chicago at home 3-1. So that tends to be the score. The winner of this will win the head-to-head this season. When Dan Bylsma was asked about what to be mindful of playing this Chicago team, he said they're young, scrappy, and hungry, for all of my Hamilton fans. I couldn't help it. I had to do it. Scrappy and hungry. I love it. All right. Anyway, now, of course, I'm singing in my head, Hamilton. Okay. All right. I'm back. Okay. Young, scrappy, and hungry. No one personifies that more than my boy, Ryan Donato, the originator of P&V, Piss and Vinegar, here on this program. I believe it was Jeff Baker. Oh, excuse me. It was Bob Condor who wrote the 3 keys to the game, or 3 game essentials. I'll give you 3 keys to the game. In his write-up, I appreciated that he talks about Know the Foe, Donato challenging Chicago scoring leaders. I'm going to read this because I'm so proud of Ryan Donato, and I know there's at least one of you, at least one, maybe more, identify yourselves in the comments, that also appreciates Ryan Donato. And if we get this guy back with all that draft capital and money we got back, oh man, I take back everything borderline negative I ever said about Ronnie Francis. Here's what Bob Condor wrote. Former Kraken forward Ryan Donato leads all Chicago's goal scorers with a career-high 23 goals, 20 of which were produced at even strength. Does that sound like a guy we could use? I think so. Donato is just 1 point behind Blackhawks scoring leaders. 19-year-old Connor Bedard, might have heard of him. He's got 17 goals, 35 assists for 52 points. And veteran forward Teravainen, who has 15 goals, 37 assists, and 52 points. And Bob Condor notes, as he absolutely should, that Ryan Donato is just 1 point behind the leading goal scorers in 2 less games. So I love it. Condor gives us a little bit of an update. I think I mentioned in passing that Donato's name was out there, maybe as someone who would be moved at the trade deadline. but he's still with Chicago. And media reports have surfaced, I'm quoting now, media reports have surfaced that the two sides are negotiating a deal to stop Donato from exploring free agency this summer. That contract will no doubt comfortably top his $2 million salary this season. I'm so happy for him. I'm proud of you, Ryan Donato. I wish you were still wearing the Kraken uniform. I want you to find a forever home. Those of you who've been with the show for a while know that was kind of our song in the second season, I guess. Find Ryan Donato a forever home. I still want it to be Seattle. But Donnie boy, I'm happy for you. I can't wait to watch Ryan Donato play tonight. I can almost guarantee he will score tonight. And that I will be happy, but I still want the Kraken to win. And so, because I do want the Kraken to win, I'm going to give you my keys to the game coming up on today's game day episode of Locked On Kraken.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken your daily destination. Erica L. Ayala here, and tomorrow's episode should be a squad cast. Still working on some details, but the Seattle Kraken once again find themselves in a back-to-back situation. I haven't done the maths. We did the breakdown month to month on the schedule. This feels like, I haven't looked at the math in a little bit or the schedule breakdown. This feels like the most back-to-backs in Seattle Kraken history. And we know that the second game of the back-to-back does not favor the Seattle Kraken. Dan Bylsma would not disclose who will start in net tonight. If I had to guess, we're going with Gourde. Maybe it's also because I want to see Gourde play the man. That was our third segment for last episode. I just want to see Gourde. And then we get I almost said Ryan Donato. He is not a goaltender, not as far as I know anyway. Joey Gourde, that means, would get the start in Minnesota. Oh yeah. But I guess we'll have to see what happens there. 3 keys to the game. Match Donato's vibe. That's key number 1. Why do I say match Donato's vibe? Well, Ryan Donato, again, is pushing to be a leading goal scorer on his team. 20 of his 23 goals have come at even strength, as Bob Condor told us. We know Ryan Donato attacks the net. We know Ryan Donato finds scrappy goals, garbage time, if you want to say. That is his game. He plays a relentless style of hockey, never gives up. That's what the Seattle Kraken need to embody and imbue as a team. We've seen it. They have the ability to do it. That's where Isiman, that's where Newman, that's where they come in. Even Capo Caco. I liked what we heard from Dan Bylsma today, and I alluded to this before. Keeps talking about that top line, Beniers, alongside, Jaden Schwartz, and of course, Capo Caco. What Caco does, first of all, he's got a really big body, but he plays to set up things for his team. But that big body makes it so that it's a little more difficult for him to be muscled off the puck than a Matty Beniers, as an example. And so with Caco being able to play that role, and also having Jaden Schwartz, not a big guy, not a terribly big guy, but a guy that knows his way around the ice, so to speak, and is not to be trifled with, that is giving Matty Beniers a little bit of a different role that he can play in the offensive zone. I loved that observation from Dan Bylsma. It's been something that we've been percolating and talking about on the show. Got to match Donato's vibe. When we get our scrappy guys to play scrappy, that includes Vince Dunn. We saw I guess it was the game in Chicago, so the most recent game against the Chicago hockey team, where I forget who it was, but dropped the gloves. Chandler Stevenson, he and Stevie got tangled up, drops the gloves. Stevie's like, I'm not doing this. He skated away. He's like, play on. Let's go, young boy. And Donato came out of nowhere into the shot and just goes at this guy. I for the life of me, I can't remember who it was. I don't know. Look at the highlight. But you know, I said yesterday, even on yesterday's episode, I'm not a big fan of hockey fights. I don't need it in my life. I like the moxie though. And Ryan Donato plays that way. Now he's not necessarily going to mix it up. He's not looking for stuff like that, like Vince Dunn, like Brandon Tanev, Ty Cartier. That's not his game, Ryan Donato, and that's not the Seattle Kraken's game. That's not our game. But he's ready. He definitely antagonizes goaltenders, defensemen, because he's always in the grill. He's always in the blue paint. I want the Seattle Kraken to play like Ryan Donato. Check that off. That's key to the game number 1. Key to the game number 2. I say it all the time. Fun, fast, and forechecking. That's the bread and butter for this team, according to me. But we do know that playing fast and forechecking, because if you forecheck, you can play fast, or if you play fast, you can forecheck. They have a symbiotic relationship. We hear that from Dan Bylsma all the time. But the fun of it, this Seattle Kraken team, sometimes I think they've lost the joy in it. There's so much stress. There's so much tension. We're not always winning games that we feel we should be winning. I want to lean into the fun. So the 3 Fs, the 3 Locked On Kraken Fs. Again, that's where Isimon comes in on the fast and the forechecking, driving to the net. Get that similar to the Donato style. Donato style of hockey is the P&V, the sandpaper, but the fun, fast, and forechecking is Kraken hockey. The best of our play is when we're playing together, playing for each other. We heard Vince Dunn say that. And when we're attacking, odd man rushes, things of that nature. That's point number 2. My last key to the game: shoot your shot, both literally and colloquially. Shoot your shot, both literally and figuratively. What do we mean when we say shoot your shot? Literally, take more shots. Shot volume is what the Seattle Kraken want, and it's what they need to be able to do. If we look at the Seattle Kraken in their last game against Chicago, their last game against Chicago, the shots on goal favored the Seattle Kraken 27-24. So it wasn't, super, it wasn't one-sided per se overall, but it did differ period to period. In the first 20 minutes, they doubled up Seattle on shots. Seattle had 5 shots, Chicago had 10. In the second frame, a little bit more even, but favored Seattle 11-9. In the third, 11-5 in favor of the Kraken. Overall, 27-24 in favor of the Seattle Kraken. But it's not just any shot, although it kind of is any shot volume. But when you take multiple shots, you can start opening up shots tighter, closer to the net, playing south to north, north to south, east to west. I talked about Dan Bylsma is tasking players like Adam Larson to find the seams when the puck is low, or even, again, east-west, find the seam, step into that open space, and make yourself available for a pass. So shoot your shot, shoot the puck. Now, again, this goes to HC opportunity. Shoot your shot. Young buck As we heard from Vince Dunn, as I've been talking about, as we mentioned in the last segment, HC opportunity. This is a Kraken team that, Isiman, Yanni Newman, Ty Cartier, different scenario than the latter two, or the former two, excuse me. Capo Caco, Shane Wright to an extent. All these guys, HC opportunity. What can you do for the Kraken now that is going to entice them to keep you around and or to give you a larger role? I want to see that now. I want to see how some of these younger players or new players to the organization can step up. Now, that doesn't mean that the Vince Dunns, the Jamie Alexiaks, the Stevies, or the Montours, they kind of slow their roll. No, we need them as well. And we need to see how some of the newcomers can step up. I think this is an exciting game. It's never an easy game against Chicago. They're not where they want to be. We're not where we want to be. But somehow, when we go toe-to-toe, skate to skate, it's always fireworks. It is a scrappy hockey game. And you know what? There are times where on paper, Seattle should have won against Chicago, and we didn't. So we have a chance to take the season series. Let's take it in the Windy City. That's all for our episode. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And loud and proud, let's go Kraken, because we hold fast, we stay true, and we're going to tune in and or listen on the radio as the Seattle Kraken take on the Chicago hockey team. Erica L. Ayala saying goodbye for now, because I will catch you on the next episode. Peace out, everybody.